We are back on a Wednesday, and the MLB is back as well. We got baseball season going off tomorrow, opening day on Thursday. Going to get this out to you guys later tonight, recording this Wednesday afternoon. John, how you doing? A little trip. Good start to the week in the NBA. A couple of winning days in the NBA so far.
Great start. Memphis left the back door open for us Tuesday night, and Orlando cashed. So we'll take that win. I'm out in Arizona, so a little rough with the time schedule going on right now. I was waking up at 3 o'clock this morning to sit in front of my computers to start getting ready at 6 o'clock. And that's how we do. We just get it done. Busiest part of the entire season right now. NBA going on, and these first I'll say week of Major League Baseball really getting a grip on the teams. So this is really the toughest part for a handicap for me, handicapping, because these are the sports that I do. Obviously, if you're doing college basketball, I don't know how you're doing it anyway. You literally got to stay up around the clock. But right now, the toughest part of the schedule. So we got to put the hours in. So hopefully we'll see what get off to a nice little start. Got a couple of games already circled for day one of Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, our NBA just keeps ticking. You guys will be seeing this. Tell me again, Dave, what day is it today, Ben? I don't even know.
Today's Wednesday. We're getting this out Wednesday night. We put out an episode yesterday, so you guys will be getting episodes back-to-back days, a little bit of a baseball season kickoff.
Right. Wednesday night, we sent out Lakers yesterday at Pick'em. That game right now is 3 or 3.5. So again, another beat down on DraftKings. Again, if you're within the sound of my voice and you have a DraftKings account, if you're not following me at this point, you're an idiot. I mean, you're literally free money. We're pillaging the number. So we laid pick yesterday. Game sitting 3.5 today. You guys will know the result by the time you see this tomorrow. Hopefully, it'll be another good result. That's our only bet so far. And you know what? We're going to give it to you. If you watch this podcast, you're going to know my bet for today, meaning Thursday. We took the Celtics as soon as DraftKings came out with the line 3.5. Took 3.5 on that game. You had the Bucks playing back-to-back, returning home 5th and 7. Celtics went to Washington Tuesday, and we talk about it a lot of times, guys. You know, what's a look ahead? Well, it was the meaning of the look ahead Thursday night as Boston goes into Washington, who's completely tanking at this point. No Beal, no Kuzma, Gafford, the center, all out. And they go take a beatdown. I mean, from beginning to the stretch to just a total beatdown. This is what you call looking ahead. In other words, they had circled on their calendar tonight's game, Thursday night's game at Milwaukee. That's the game they wanted to win. Paid no attention to the Wizards, and they got shocked. Any team can beat any team on a given day, given the circumstances. So look ahead, a bounce back, revenge games. These are the angles that we're always watching for. That's the angle yesterday. So we're on Celtics plus 3.5. We sent that out today, meaning Wednesday for Thursday. You guys will see this Thursday. So as an added bonus, you know we're already on the Celtics plus 3.5.
So one of the bets got out to members earlier. Touch on that Wizards team really quick. I saw today that they're planning on trying to extend both Porzingis and Kuzma. And I guess nothing like a 34-42 record to double down on the players you have right now instead of trading out. But we'll try to stay basic.
I got to be honest with you. They got something going on with Beal, too.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just getting a little info here, guys, that Middleton – is out. Okay, we know that already. Okay, Middleton, Crowder. We put that up earlier. I mean, guys, if you read the previews, they've had Middleton questionable for tonight's game, meaning Wednesday night's game against the Pacers. Was there any chance – because we know Middleton's not going to play back-to-back. Yeah. Was there any chance he was going to play tonight and not play tomorrow against the Celtics? So Middleton out tonight. but we already had that.
He looked really good against Detroit the other day when Holiday and Giannis both sat. He had a great game.
He's carried them a couple of times when they've sat Giannis and Jrue Holiday. He's close. He's close to being all the way back. There's just still not playing him in back-to-back situations. But, hey, once you get to the playoffs, there's no back-to-back games. Bucks look like the best team. This is a spot bet for me, and it's matchups. They just haven't been able to beat the Celtics down. Celtics do well in Milwaukee. Boston went there undermanned the last time they went and gave the Bucks everything they could handle, sent them into overtime. With that, like I said, they'll be rested a day coming off a terrible loss at Washington, while Milwaukee, we'll see what happens with them tonight. But regardless, they're going to be back-to-back, and their fifth city in 7 days returning home. Just a spot to take more than a three-pointer. We took 3.5, so I like the Celtics in that one, Ben.
We'll see how that game fares tomorrow. Short NBA card tomorrow, just the 2 games with everything going on in baseball. John, let's dive in. We got baseball season opening day, 15-game card, everyone in action that we'll get to. But first, I know earlier you mentioned about getting a DraftKings account in order to beat lines as far as the edge and how we get value in the NBA. As far as baseball, it's a bit different getting value, betting a lot of underdogs. Thought we kind of covered that just so when we are breaking down the rest of the teams, the rest of the games, everyone here knows what we're kind of going through there. So if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So value is value. It's a little different in NFL and NBA because those are $1.10 sports. You're laying $1.10 whatever team you take. We're not betting the money line. Why don't you bet the money line in baseball or football, John? Because in baseball, you got a 10-cent line. In NBA and NFL, it's a 20-cent line already. You lay $1.10 either way. So let's take, for example, tomorrow, the one game we're looking at. Ben likes this game. I'm leaning with him. It's the Cubs. So Milwaukee is $1.40, which is general, is $1.40 favorite. If you take the Cubs, you're taking $1.30. It's a 10-cent difference, okay? Again, go back to NBA or NFL. Once you lay the point spread, you're laying $1.10 either side. 20-cent difference. Okay, that's why we don't bet money line as much in NBA and NFL. We'll bet it once in a while if the numbers match up, but for the most part, we won't. And as the numbers get higher, the spread gets bigger. So very tough to bet it there. Major League Baseball, it starts out, sometimes it's even lower than a dime at certain books. If it's a pick'em game, you could be laying 0-4 either way, to have an 8-cent difference. As you get higher, obviously the spread gets a little larger. Value comes in 90% of the time in the dogs. Yeah, there could be a favorite here or there with some value in as a short favorite. Very, very rarely do you have a big favorite that there could be any value. We'll talk about some games like the Dodgers in Arizona, where Dodgers just absolutely not only own them in Dodger Stadium even more. So it's just tough to say, yeah, how come they don't have value? Maybe they do have value in a spot like that. But for the most part, it's the dogs betting in the right spot. And the right spot means, is the team hot? How is the pitcher going good? Is the pitcher from the other side pitching bad? Obviously, in the beginning of the season, different things we're looking at. How they doing in spring training, how they've matched up with the teams before. A lot was based on my ratings, just as in NBA and NFL. I use my home and away ratings. Some teams play better on the road. Some teams play better at home. We match all of that up. It spits out value. And that's all we want to have. Each day is value. With the baseball's a long season, guys. It's not for the faint of heart.
Season.
Yeah. We'll tell you ahead of time. There's going to be a couple of take the collar days 0 for 3 because we're going to be betting mainly dogs. You're not going to see chalk every single day. I keep waiting right now as the Yankees keep going higher and higher. And as soon as they get to that number, I'll be betting Webb in San Francisco against Cole and the Yankees on opening day. So let me get the value. Sometimes it's in a lot of ways just like NBA. Sometimes it's on the overnight. Sometimes it's early in the morning. Sometimes it's later in the day. It depends when the numbers get to the right spot. So, like I said, same thing in NBA. If we see a game like we saw yesterday with the Lakers at a pick, well, we know D'Angelo Russell was coming back. So even if LeBron is out, the game to me was still Lakers too. So I'm going to lay pick if LeBron is in. Also, the game's going to go even higher, which it looks like LeBron's going to play, and that's why the game is sitting at 3.5 now. So it's all about the value. So we saw value a day ahead of time. That's when we jumped on it. Last night meaning Tuesday night, I didn't see value with the Magic right up until when they announced Ja's definitely out. Orlando playing everybody. Orlando going into last night covered their 6 prior games. They're not tanking. Other lottery teams are tanking. They're not tanking. They're playing in there. Memphis crushed them. I'm like, we're on the wrong side in the beginning part of the game. But that's what Memphis does. They win the first halves, Memphis.
Yep.
Second half, knowing that they had the Clippers today, they took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Orlando, because they're continuing to play, they backdoored it. So just getting back to it, I saw the value a day ahead of time with the Lakers. I saw value. I'm 45 minutes, I think it was, before tip-off, Ben, last night with the Memphis game. Same thing as baseball. We can have, look, Sunday's always a big rest day. Guys they'll take a seat. So as soon as we get those lineups, we know who's in. That's when we make a play, or we see a play ahead of time. It's all dependent on the value is. So you've got to be ready to bet it at any time. That guys having a VIP account, not trying to sell you, but if you don't have a VIP account, let's just take yesterday for example with the Lakers. We laid pick. And you waited till this morning till we posted it on the website or on the app. The line was already at 2. So you missed all of that value already. So the choice is yours. Like I said, if you're a tiny better, this is more of just something to play around with. That's one thing. If you're any kind of serious better, you're not VIP. You're not a VIP. With that said, Ben, well, I don't know if that's enough of a description. If you've got more better with words than I am, I just know what I'm doing with the value. But if you got something to add, Ben, then we'll get started with it.
Yeah, so I definitely agree as far as betting the underdogs, finding the value there, trying to get the best price on those underdogs as far as whether it's up until game time or the day before. It's going to be different a little bit. We have some rule changes and, scheduling is part of that as well. So we're going to see less divisional matchups. That's going to lead to more of these appealing underdogs in some of these situations, maybe even more so with the home underdogs. I mean, opening day, as we get into it, opening day is just a bit different of a home atmosphere, a bit more of a home edge for teams. So even that, just looking at that for Thursday is going to make some of those home dogs even more attractive.
Yeah. Rule changes. They basically did 2 things. They've done a few different rule changes, but what they're trying to accomplish is A, more offense, B, speed up the game. These are the 2 goals that they're trying to get. A more fan-friendly viewing time. People don't have 4 hours to sit around and watch a ball game anymore.
Yeah.
So they want to speed that game up a little bit, pitches, speed clock. And then we're talking about the offense. They've got to get some offense. The offensive, the hitting has never been this low in I believe, the history of baseball. It's abominable.
Batting average, yep.
It's just absolutely terrible. So they're trying to get more offense. How they're doing that, they're taking the shift away. They're making the bases a little bit bigger. Always remember, game of inches. How many game are tags? It's a bang bang call. So make each base a couple inches bigger. That gives that the little edge to base stealers. The rules also can't throw overs. How many times? That's going to go to the base stealers. So it should be some more stolen bases. Pitchers are going to have to work quicker, speed up the game, no shifts, offense. I don't mess around with totals in baseball, but if you're a total better, just know you're going to increase all your overs. Whatever your numbers, whatever way you were trying to get to make your numbers, whatever philosophy, you're going to add something to it because they're trying to make look. It's like back when football, they wanted to make more scoring. So if you touch the wide receiver, It was pass interference. That's how you get more scoring in there, and obviously they did. They're trying to get more scoring here. What they want to accomplish, they will accomplish. So look for higher scores, higher batting averages, higher ERA averages, because some of the ERAs were, getting back to incredible days. So pitchers should be giving up a little bit more, hitters hitting a little bit more. If the Major League Baseball is trying to accomplish that, they will accomplish that.
Yep, definitely making it a more offensive-friendly game. That's kind of, like you said, all the sports, the theme lately is just changing the rules in order to enhance the offense, the highlight, the social media clip-type offense. And I like that as far as the stolen bases. I think a few things also add into that, the lack of the shift, and also the amount of pickoffs. Going to pick off twice per at-bat, going to increase base stealing, which I think that's a pro. I think that's something that kind of got slowed down, especially as it started to prioritize the long ball in baseball. Became a lot more home run focused. You don't want to risk getting those guys out on base, especially when you have your power guys coming up. Kind of changing that thought process maybe a little bit, and hopefully going a little bit back to small ball, not complete, but just enough to make it more enticing, bunting as well as shifts. So we'll see how that impacts the game. Like you said, definitely more high scoring. Speed, though, defensively and offensively, is going to be a newfound value again.
Yeah, look, I'm a purist. The game is right the way it is. Is it absolutely too long? Yes, it is. But the game is right. I mean, you can't tell me. I mean, I can't position my players where I think they're gonna hit the ball. Just doesn't make sense. What do you mean I got to? So once I throw over twice, that means the guy goes on my first move. That's just I don't like any of the rule changes. Get why they're doing them, but I just don't like them. Maybe the base is a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. That's safety, precautionary.
Yeah.
That I can see. But the other changes, I'm not down with. But enough about all of that stuff. I think they want to hear about who's going to we think about these teams, because we could talk about this nonsense forever.
Yep, let's get into it. First matchup on the card, we have one of these NL East matchups, and going to be a lot of nice divisional matchups. Going to be looking at a lot of these divisional home dogs. Just can't do it in this one. Braves at Washington. They own them there. Absolutely own them. 17-2 the last 19 trips to Washington. The Braves are, and they got a pitching matchup from hell. John, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, Fried against Corbin. Corbin gave up the most earned runs in major leagues last year. He was 0-3 with a 9.42 ERA in his games pitched against the Braves. Hey, there's value as a home dog. Washington is one of the worst teams.
I think they are the worst, but
what's that, Ben?
I think they are the worst. I'll mark them down as opening day worst team.
I get them or Oakland. I'm not sure who I want to come out with it as the worst team, but either way, don't want no part of Washington. I know the number's big. The home dog. We're gonna be big with home dogs. We're gonna have a lot of them. This just be one of them.
Yeah, tough to get behind that. Fried coming off a great season. We'll see if he picks up where he left off. And then you have this Braves offense as well, who they lose Dansby Swanson. One thing, I guess, is you can knock to this roster. But, man, their front office, compared to what the Padres, the Mets, Dodgers, all these teams spending out money after money, they're locking up their young guys, and they're doing it pretty affordably. So Braves deep in depth, letting Swanson go, not giving the big contract. I think it's going to be a long-term plus.
Look, Braves are still the Braves. When Diaz goes down for look what happened. How lucky the Braves are. Diaz goes down for the Mets. That's who I originally had I thought the Mets would come to that top spot with Diaz. But I thought, look, 3-team race: Mets, Atlanta, and Philly. Diaz goes Philly. They pick up Trey Turner, making all the right moves. Now they lose Hoskins. You already knew you were going to be without Harper until at least maybe July. So all of a sudden, Philly's down, Mets are down, Atlanta's still standing. I expect them to be right there. Mets, we'll talk about the Mets when we get there, but relying on two guys that one is 40 and the other's 38 bases without a closer, with the best closer or one of the two best closers in Major League Baseball. Tough stretch, and like I says, Philly made all the right moves, but two of your best hitters and two of your better hitters. Let's call Trey Turner one of the best hitters. But to lose two big bats like
Absolutely.
that. So it looks like Atlanta, if not winning the division, they're right there with the Mets and Washington. We can guarantee you that they're going to be the last place team in the NL East.
Yeah, we can get a little bit deeper dive on the futures in a little bit when we talk about those other teams. But I think the odds are on the not Braves plus 105 to win that division, Mets plus 170, Phillies pretty good value plus 425. That division you talked about, those three teams, three-headed monster, deepest teams in the NL, arguably pitching wise and roster wise. So we'll see how the Braves look going forward. Next matchup, John, Giants at Yankees. I know you teased earlier that you're already looking at San Francisco, watching that line tick up. I'll let you start with this one.
Just a big number. The Yankees are going to be overlays, especially when Cole pitches almost every time out. Place against the Red Sox when Dev is always, as he always owns Cole. But here, game one, the price is ballpark 180, take back 165. We'll see where that number goes. But it's San Fran and nobody. Look, Yankees, real good baseball at home. San Fran, 500 team last year, 81-81. I expect it to be right around the same this year. But taking up, look, Webb is a frontline pitcher. Cole could be on and could be lights out. Cole can also give up a couple of dingers, and we got ourselves a different game here. The value here is only on San Fran. We'll see where that line goes, but it's San Fran and nobody for me.
Yeah, lean to the Giants in this one. I agree with you as far as the pitching matchup. Not really an edge either way. Obviously, we have to see what version of Cole comes. I mean, like, it's hit or miss. It was up there in quality start, so he did have a lot of good outings last year, but second in home runs allowed, always a problem as far as giving up the long ball. Giants team, very interesting roster. Not too many big changes. Pick up Haniger and Conforto. We'll see what they get. They weren't a big offensive team last year. And even in the last decade, they've always been just pitching front heavy, pitching with the bullpen. They do a lot more bullpen days than other teams. As far as the Yankees, not too many crazy losses, not too many crazy changes with the lineup. Just Giants or nobody. Home or the value there with the dog, absolutely. And I'm not looking to back Garrett Cole at this price. Going to be interesting with the Yankees as far as their AL East matchups. Less of those might be some spots to get Garrett Cole out of those matchups as well, and this is one of them to see more value. Orioles, Red Sox, Sean, another AL East matchup. A couple of new pitchers for both teams. We got Gibson versus Kluber. What are you seeing here?
You get a couple of pitchers that have been bouncing around a little bit the last couple of years. Gibson coming over from the Phillies. He didn't finish strong at all last year. These two teams, Baltimore, for you guys that were with us last year, we were riding Baltimore from early in the season. We knew they were better than they were given credit for. And when I talked a lot about that last year, Baltimore's record early part of the year, not so good. Just remember, last year, up until last year, you played your division teams 19 times each, and that's part of what Ben has talked about. So the schedule is a totally different schedule now. They're going to play, everybody's going to play within their division 13 times each, and now you play every team in the league. So Baltimore will see the likes of Tampa Bay, Toronto, and the Yankees 6 games each. That's 18 games. So Boston and Baltimore, for that fact, they'll see those 3 teams 18 times less. Those are 3 of your top teams in the American League. So expect a little more winning from these 2 teams. Boston, we'll see what happens with Boston. Boston basically is trading the Dodgers, JV Martinez, for Turner. They bring in Yoshida. He's supposed to be a stud from Japan. Let's wait to see what he's going to give us. Boston, so that the clock is out on them. What they don't have is pitching, and you gotta pay. Baseball is about pitching. Baseball is about pitching, and baseball is about pitching, and that's 90% of the game is pitching. That's my feeling anyway. Yeah, you got to score some runs, but you need the pitching to win the game. Gibson and Kluber, don't know what we're going to get out of these guys. I think the line's right where it is. Expect these two teams to be right. Look, they're fourth and fifth. We just mentioned the top three teams in the East, and that's the Yankees, Toronto, and Tampa Bay. I think that's the order that they finish in, and in a tight one. So Baltimore, even if they make a little progress, they're still not in that level. They're right where the Red Sox are right now. I got nobody in this fight.
Yeah, slight lean to the Orioles in this one. Don't love it. You have Baltimore. I mean, like John said, we were on them all last year. Great team. It's a great value team throughout the whole season. I do think they took steps forward. They made small additions, but nice fits. Adam Frazier, he's another contact guy. They get another starter, replenish the bullpen a little bit. We'll see what Gibson brings. Gibson's a very streaky pitcher, so that will be something to watch for the season. Goes on nice 5, 6, 7 starts in a row, quality starts, high quality, and the last year was one of those bad stretches, got absolutely rocked. What was it? Almost a 10 ERA, 31 hits, 7 home runs. So don't know what you're going to get with him any given day. Put him in a whole nother division, new league, AL and the AL East, new ballpark, Fenway opening day. Scares me off a little bit from this game. Not sure we're going to get, but I don't see value there with Boston. Brewers Cubs next game here. This is my favorite game on the card. Cubbies at home. Another one of those just little slight extra home field advantage for the Cubs. Pitching matchup, pretty good. You have Stroman versus Burns. Stroman was great against the Brewers last year. 1-0, 1.37 ERA across 19 innings. Burns, he has good numbers against the Cubs. Did lose last year on opening day against them at Wrigley as well. As far as the lineups, Cubs, a lot of changes. Brewers, nothing too crazy. Cubs bring in Swanson. They bring in Mancini, Bellinger. Bellinger is going to be a little bit more of a project. We'll see what actually happens there if he develops anything he used to be. I just think it's a good price there for Stroman. He looked good in the Classic. He was bad at home last year, but good down the stretch. Whereas Burns, just not a good spring either, coming off a start, giving up 5 runs.
Yeah, we talk about the home dogs. This would be one of them. Definitely Cubs are nobody in this one. Like what Stroman did at the end of last year, and he did pitch real well against Milwaukee. Cubs actually won 10 of the 19 meetings and 6 of 10 in Chicago at Wrigley Field. So give a little edge there. Look, tough to go against Burns. Burns is on. He's lights out also. But a little bit of an edge. If that number ticks up a little higher, I'll be on the Cubbies in Wrigley on opening day. As far as the season, Milwaukee kind of looks like the same team as they were last year. And as you said, Cubs just getting a little better. They added those little pieces. Swanson is a big piece. He was having a nice little year last year when he was with the Orioles. Not so much with Houston. Comes over to the Cubbies. Let's see how he does in the new league. Bellinger, look, he's got to be better than he was last year. Under 200 most of the year. If this guy comes anywhere back to where he was, maybe it's change of scenery. We'll see what happens. Not counting on any major improvement. We'll take a look, though. But, yeah, Cubs are nobody for tomorrow, even though it's tough to go against Burns. The price for the Cubbies at home, who play well in Wrigley, is worth a shot. Cubs are no one.
Yeah, this division in particular, I find very interesting with the division change. You're going to have, for the Brewers and the Cardinals, who was basically a 2-team race the last couple of seasons, you're going to have 12 less games against the Pirates and the Reds. So that in itself is huge. That's almost 12 wins. We'll call it 10 wins. Give them a couple. Going to be interesting, and we'll see where the Cubs find themselves. I do like the pieces they add. As far as Bellinger being a project and getting out of LA is at least a positive. We saw with Joey Gallo when he was with the Yankees last year, just in the news every day, Gallo, went to LA, another big market, but even the change of scenery helped him improve just a bit. So we'll see what we get out of the Cubs this year. High on Milwaukee, though, in that division. Freddie Peralta, a lot of injuries last year, came back, still was looking good. If him, Burns, Woodruff can stay healthy, that's as good a rotation as any.
Yeah, well, it absolutely is. I'm just going to give St. Lou the edge in the bats. I mean, when you got Arenado hitting in the middle of that lineup, that's 2 of your top hitters in the game. So anyway, yeah, look, a 2-team race. I think the Cubs are just underneath those 2 teams. I don't think they've made enough strides to challenge. And as you said, with less games against Pirates and Cincy, the two punching bags, those win totals are going to be lower for St. Louis and Milwaukee.
Yeah, they are. I think, let me pull it up. The Cardinals set at 88.5. Brewers set at 85.5. So we'll see how close they come to those numbers. I agree with you that there would be a little bit low scoring, and that or lower than that even shows. I mean, top 7 numbers on that list are all outside of that Central Division. Obviously, it's just how baseball is. Central split. Some of your lesser
posts, and then there's whatever in the middle. I mean, that's just like it in everything. It's posts. It's where the money is.
Yep. Next one of these AL Central teams. Tigers at Tampa. Detroit, rough year last year, 66 and 96. 5th worst on the road. There's a stretch there. They were the worst road team in baseball for a good minute. As far as Tampa Bay, coming off a decent year, finished 3rd in the East. They were great pitching-wise. The offense wasn't necessarily there. Rays won 5 of 7 meetings last year. Weird matchup pitching-wise. Obviously, the edge is to McClanahan. Rodriguez, though, has history against these AL East teams when he pitched with Boston. Was decent last year. Had the injury, missed a lot of time, got hurt against Tampa Bay. Clear pitching edge, obviously, to McClanahan, but Rodriguez isn't your typical wash. So lean a little bit to Detroit. I think this Rays team is going to put up a fight, and they're a team that's really going to benefit not having to face Yankees and Toronto as much, like you touched on earlier.
Yeah. Look, the numbers, my numbers say, obviously, Detroit's worth a little value in this spot. I just don't know if I could pull the trigger. McClanahan, really good. Detroit on the road. Tampa Bay was really good at home also last year. Expect them to be good at home again this year. The number would have to go a little bit higher. It's the take back. I can take back 205 right now. It'd have to go a little bit higher for me to get interested. It would be like a half a bet on Detroit. It's just because of the number. Tampa Bay, look, Tampa Bay's the 3rd best team right now. Yankees, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Detroit's they're another terrible version. Miguel Cabrera is still there. Why? Look, great hitter. It's time. Get him out of the game already. He was playing sparingly last year. So yeah, just a number bet if it's going to be on Detroit. Detroit, like I said, it's either them or KC's the worst team in the Central. Tampa Bay in what is, I don't think there's even an argument. Like, well, I guess you could say now with the National League East, if everybody was healthy, that the 3 teams, Philly, Atlanta, and Mets, as tough a division with Tampa Bay, Toronto, and the Yankees. But like I said, this is just would only take it on opening day. Half a bet if the number goes a little higher. Other than that, I'll pass it.
Phillies are at Texas. This, to me, is the toughest game to get a read on for tomorrow. Nola versus DeGrom. Obviously, DeGrom's first start with the Rangers. We'll see what kind of limitations he has to start the season. They're probably going to, typically, opening day pitchers don't go too long anyways. But DeGrom obviously might have a little bit of a shorter leash than other starters. Nola, great. Led MLB last year with the K-walk ratio. Was even better on the road with 10.3. Was decent in the playoffs, nothing terrific. As far as this Rangers team, they just shopped all pitching. They add Eovaldi, they add DeGrom, they add Heaney. Heaney, another project, horrible year at the Angels, horrible year at the Yankees, Dodgers, whipped them around, turned into a productive pitcher. So we'll see how much of that remains. Lean here to the Phillies. Don't love it. The injuries scare there and the injuries to start the season. How much depth are we going to have in that lineup? I don't know if Trey Turner is still as hot as he was come to the World Baseball Classic. Is any of that left? Give me the Phillies.
This is an interesting matchup here. So Nola and DeGrom actually were going head-to-head for that Cy Young a couple of years back when obviously DeGrom was with the Mets. Look, I've said it before. DeGrom is as good as there is that I've seen when he's healthy. How healthy is he going to be? How many innings are you going to get at him in the opener? So that edge I give to Philly a little bit. Problem is this line is beat up. The actual opening number was Philly 175. This game now is down to minus 130. So they beat this number up to Philly. I don't see value anymore in 130. Now you got to take 120 or less with Philly. So I don't see any more value in it. Obviously, at 175, taking back 160, there was value with Philly. I don't see it at this point. So let me answer this question right now. Because guys are going to say, hey, but it's not like basketball. Either they're going to win or they're not going to win. I get it. But let's try to explain this right. So if you tell me tomorrow I can lay $1.50 with the Braves over Washington, I'll lay the $1.50. You understand? Because I feel the game should be at least 200. If you tell me I can take 300 with the Nationals, as much as I don't want to bet Corbin or Wash, I'm forced to take because my numbers say you got to take 300 with it. Nope. So I know, but who do you think is going to win? I don't think anybody's going to win. I'm thinking the number. Same thing in basketball. Same premise. We bet the Lakers yesterday, meaning we bet them Tuesday for Wednesday's game, for today's game, at pick. If you told me the game was Lakers 3.5, I don't have a bet. So it's not just who you think is going to win the game. So I want to answer that question right now, so I don't answer it a million times during the season. But what's the difference if the number, they only got to win anyway? I got it. It's about value. We bet with value throughout the year. We don't lay 20 cents or take 20 cents. Worse, the wrong number on a game that upsets our value. So I'm hoping, Ben, maybe you could explain it better, but try to push this point as clear as we can.
Yeah, with baseball, guys, going to be looking to hit 45, 44%. We're hitting that. We're big in the money, betting a lot of underdogs. With that, going to come a lot of losses. But in order to do that, it's just systematic. It's betting value. Like John said, there are values and favorites. There are times where the line is short on that side and you lay the juice. It's like buying a stock. You don't want to buy the stock once it's peaked out and then it's only going to go down. You're going to want to buy the stock as it's rising. So same thing with betting lines. You want to get the price before it drops. You want to get that Phillies line at plus 170 before it's now down to plus 120. That's the name of the game. So it's, yeah, as far as that Phillies price, definitely fell off a cliff and hard to back it at this point. Weird thing, baseball-wise, guys, just a quick little live betting tip. Sometimes spots like that, Phillies being the road team in this situation could go, down 1, 2, 3, top of the first. Rangers come up. Obviously, you lose that half inning, but in that moment, the live odds will then take it from plus 120 to plus 150, plus 160, just because they have an extra set of 3 at bat. So maybe some situations like that, you can play that. Not a game I would do that on, but just a strategy as far as for the season. Next game, John, we have
the season for these two teams. We touched on a little bit. Philly,
yep.
Because they lost Hoskins for the season. I mean, that's a bad break, and you're not gonna see Harper till at least July. That's gonna put them at a big disadvantage.
I was seeing June. I was seeing late May, June, maybe for Harper.
Oh well, yeah, okay. I thought it was July. If it's late May, June, not so bad. But even so, Philly, when they got hot was the second half last year. Yeah. That's when they went on that run, and that's when they made that playoff push. Look, it's all who gets hot at the right time. Man, we've seen it with the San Diego Dodgers. Dodgers treated San Diego like the little baby brother, just beat them constantly, and we get to the playoffs, and San Diego did what they had to do. But back to this, so like this is Philly. They're going to spot the Braves and Mets a couple of months without Harper, the year without Hoskins. They didn't address a lot of the fielding. Yeah, they bring Turner over, but they didn't address a lot of the fielding. They're the third best team in that division for me. Texas, they got a lot of pitching, bringing in basically a whole different staff to go along with Perez, their holdover from last year. So they're going to have to get it done with some pitching. We'll see what happens in this game. But like I said, yeah, the value would have been Philly, but that value is gone now as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, as far as the season read with that division, Phillies, Braves, Mets, I agree with you, third worst team. I think they arguably have the best lineup in the division when all healthy. Just pitching, it's just hard to keep. I mean, the Braves and Mets pitching rotations are absolutely ridiculous. The bullpen's deep. We talk about all the time how important pitching is. So, yes, Philly has some depth pitching-wise. Wheeler, Nola, very good one, too. They pick up Taijuan Walker from the Mets. That's a great addition, another good back end starter, a great replacement for Gibson. It's just not quite Scherzer, Verlander, Strider, Fried as far as the rest of the division.
Wright will start on the IL also for Atlanta, so that's a little bit of a bad break for them.
Next set of match. Oh, another thing that you did say, Phillies, backstretch of season, that's when they caught fire last year. Noted that as far as the Rangers, they won all 4 meetings last year. They won the last 9 meetings. Obviously, prior to this year, is only every couple years they played, but won all 4 meetings last year in the first half before the Phillies became the team that went on to the World Series. So take out a grain of salt with that, but Rangers did win all 4 last season. Twins in Kansas City, John. Great one here as far as opening day matchups. Got to lean a little bit to the home dog in this one. Lopez, new Minnesota Twin coming from Miami, going against the old dog, Zach Greinke.
Yeah, well, Lopez got off to a great start with Miami last year, and then not so much as the year went on. Greinke just keeps going out there, and he pitched real well in Kansas City at home last year. Big number. To me, this is an overlay. Look, Minnesota was playing good baseball first part of the year. Then they got saddled up with a lot of injuries in that second half. They were a better team than their final record was. I expect them to be better, but they were better at home, not so much on the road. Big number for the road. I'll be on the home dog with this one. Although, look, Kansas City and Detroit, 2 worst teams in the Central, pretty much throw in Oakland, and they're the 3 worst teams in the American League. But I think the number is worth it here. We're now looking at, I've got Minnesota as high as 145, so we could be looking to take back plus 133 or so. We'll see if this game goes any higher because it's only gone straight up. This game opened Minnesota is a minus 110 favorite. So right now the stock is going this way. Not going to jump on it till it hits its apex. KC home dog and 0 for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Twins for a season read, bring in Vasquez and Gallo. I mean, Gallo, when he was with Texas, was a monster. Obviously, the time with the Yankees was not good, looked a bit better. And I think he is someone who could greatly benefit from the lack of a shift, one of those big, heavy pull power hitters. So we'll see if that.
Ball first, though, and not
yes.
Put it in play. If you don't put it in play, the shift doesn't mean anything.
Hey, Kyle Schwarber is a great asset, and he's one of those guys just all or nothing. But it's modern baseball, right? The thing they're trying to break. The lineup got a bit deeper, but the question, as always, Minnesota, John, where is Buxton? Is he going to be good to go? If he's good to go, I mean, they have some really nice depth in that lineup. Front 5 is really lethal.
We talked about that just the other day. I guess it was our last podcast about Buxton. One of the best players in the game when he plays. Mm-hmm. Thing with DeGrom. One of the best pitchers I've ever seen. I've been around a long time. When he pitches, got to be healthy.
Yeah.
Being the best is being available. You got to be available. You can't be, well, if he played, he's the best. You got to be out there. So, that's the story on Buxton. They had some injuries, like I said, last year, Buxton being one of them. But in the first part of the year, they were right there with Cleveland and White Sox in a 3-man race. Yep. And that's what it'll be again. Looks like it anyway with these 3 teams in the Central.
Yeah, I still love that Guardians team, that pitching rotation, give them the edge in that division. But White Sox can't contend, or excuse me, the White Sox, can't contend as far as the pitching goes. Minnesota, I think, a step behind both those teams pitching-wise. Maybe the most interesting lineup, though.
Yep, for sure. And look, White Sox, they got to get the pitching. Giolito's got to come back, but if he was just wasn't right last year, let's see if he can bounce back. I mean, here's a guy that's thrown no-hitter before. He's got the stuff. Let's see what happens. They'll need him to make some advances.
We have Mets at Miami. This is this Mets team coming off the heartbreak. Tied for the Braves as far as record-wise, but didn't have the tiebreaker. They lose that division, go to the wild card. 101 wins last year, though. They got it done. You already mentioned already with Diaz going out. They did replace the bullpen. They did replenish, though. They pick up David Robinson. They pick up Ottavino. So they still have some depth there in the bullpen. Obviously not the guy who was the best closer in baseball last year. And what a pitching matchup. Scherzer versus Alcantara. I mean, what doesn't really get much better than this. Obviously, coming off the Cy Young, you have Scherzer, who was pretty good last year. You had the injury, had the issue. We'll see what we get out of him this season. I don't think this pitching edge of I'll give him a slight edge over Scherzer. I don't think it's big enough for this price. And I know this Mets lineup is levels ahead of Miami. So lean to the Mets in this game. I'm not jumping out of my seat, though, to bet them as a road favorite against Alcantara.
Yeah, and then the Mets, they handled Miami. They won 13 of 19 last year, 7 of 9 in Miami. Look, this game's a tough one. We'll see how these two pitchers do. You got two aces out there. Scherzer at 38 years old now. Verlander 40. They're going to have to carry the Mets. Look, the Mets. When the Mets lost first place after having it 90% of the season, you just knew their season's over. I grew up a Mets fan. Since I'm betting, I'm not a fan anymore. I'm an observer. You cannot be a fan and bet. So that's the point. If you guys are out there and you're going to bet your favorite team tomorrow, and that's how you're going to decide to bet baseball, you're not going to do well. For all you Yankee fans out there, we're going to break the hole again. We're going to be betting against you most of the season. But anyway, once the Mets lost that lead to Atlanta, you just knew they weren't advancing. Now they lose Diaz. It's like we say it's the Mets doing Mets things, and that's Diaz getting hurt in the World Classic. Again, the great year last year. There's going to be some fall off. You lose DeGrom, you replace him with Verlander. Can Verlander come back? And again, Verlander was unbelievable last year, coming off surgery on top of the bargain. Can he do it again at 40? So your two guys holding up your staff is a 40-year-old and a 38-year-old, and I expect them to be sharp in the beginning of the season. Where will they be come the dog days of July and August? And that's what the season's about. I can't bank on the Mets with those two guys. Early part of the season, I expect them to be sharp. This is a great pitching matchup tomorrow. I'll be an observer. No dog in this fight.
Yeah, story with the Marlins last year is couldn't score runs, 28th scoring. So we'll see if they take steps forward this year. Mets lineup still looking pretty deadly as last year, up in top 5 in scoring. They did just focus all on pitching, though, as far as new ads. Agree with you as far as heading into the season. That's the Braves division to lose. Phillies could make it interesting. I don't think after their run of making the wild card of that, it was a Braves Mets all last year. Braves catch the Mets late. Phillies come in the wild card and they take them. So it's hard for me to see the Phillies make another deep run like that. I think it's Mets between the Mets and Braves, give Braves the edge. And as far as the Scherzer Verlander duo, if healthy, like you said, it's a problem. We'll see if Verlander can repeat the Cy Young caliber stuff. I'm more worried about Scherzer with the injuries. And we go from talking about an all-time pitching matchup to Pirates and the Reds. John, you want to take this beautiful game away?
Well, you got a guy that's got some talent here with Green. I mean, when this kid's done, he's smoking you. He's a strikeout pitcher, big-time strikeout pitcher, but with that comes a lot of walks. He pitched real well last year against the Pirates, allowed only 1 run off 4 hits, 13 and 3rd innings with 27 Ks against 9 walks. So that's 9 walks in 13 and 3rd innings is a hell of a lot of walks. But 27 Ks in 13 and 3rd innings is ridiculous. That's 2 strikeouts in innings. That's the kind of stuff he's got, and that's how bad the Pirates hitting is. So big number, since he's a bad team. Cincy and Pittsburgh, you're looking at, besides the Nationals, the other 2 worst teams in the National League. So that, hey, wow, that's a big number for Cincy. Yeah, but Green, if he's on, he'll blank the Pirates. Keller roughed up last year against the Reds, 7.07 ERA, and got smacked around at Cincy. Can't back Pittsburgh in this one. Not laying it, obviously, but this Green has got good stuff. And like I said, you're looking at the 4th and the 5th place finishing teams in the Central. There's not like a lot of things we can guarantee, but we can pretty much see Pittsburgh and Cincy are going to be 4th and 5th in the Central.
Yeah, I can agree with you completely on that. As far as Hunter Green, I mean, yeah, he was great down the backstretch of last season. Electric stuff. We'll see how much of that returns and develops. He's a young guy, so should only be getting better. We'll see. I mean, with the talent he has, it's really just more so honing it. We'll see how much of a step forward he takes. Back half of the season last year was a very different pitcher than the start. Still, though, with him, I'm going to be looking for him as a home dog versus, some of these better teams, maybe in the Central, the division. I'm not really looking to lay the Reds this big of a favorite. We'll see. Reds won a couple of games early last year, and then they, lost 15, 16 straight in April. So we'll see how the Reds look. Very interesting matchup, John, with the Blue Jays and Cardinals is next one here on the card.
Yeah, you know what you get with Manoah. He's phenomenal. Mikolos pitched good baseball for St. Louis. Let's give Manoah a little bit of an edge. But as I said earlier, when you got Arenado and Goldschmidt in the lineup, they're going to add Wilson Contreras. That's another bat in there.
Yeah.
Look, this is a tough game. These are two teams. St. Louis should win their division. Milwaukee is the only team that's going to press them a little. Like I said, I think the Cubs have made some improvement, just not there yet. So St. Louis favorite to win the Central. Toronto inching closer and closer to the Yankees. Because Yankees signed Roden, that was their big sign. He's going to start the season on the IL. We'll see how long he's going to be there. How does he come back? Toronto's right there. They're knocking on their door. Had some injuries to the Yankees. You could see Toronto take that division. I think Tampa's just below both of them. This will be a nice pitching matchup at St. Louis tomorrow. I think the game is right where it should be. Toronto just a small little favorite from the -110, -115.
Yeah, this Blue Jays team now I think has the best pitching in the AL East. I mean, with the Yankees, with the Rodon injury, you also have Montez, who they got the trade deadline last year. Didn't look good once they got him, and now they found out he has to have surgery, so he's going to be down. And that's been the thing with the Yankees. It's been a lot of health issues. Nestor Cortez had a great year last season. Can he replicate that? I mean, that was a big jump for him. And this Toronto pitching rotation, Manoah, who's going tomorrow, obviously an absolute stud. Then you have Bassett, they pick up from the Mets. Great ad. Gosman, he was lethal last year. That's a true 1-2-3. Even the back end of the rotation, though, very interesting with Berrios and Kikuchi, two guys they picked up last year who were not the guys they paid the money for. They just complete off seasons. I don't know if it's going to Canada, playing in the turf field, whatever it might be. But those guys take a step forward as well and be the pitchers they were meant to be when they picked up in free agency. Could be a very, very deep five starters there in Toronto. So as far as this matchup, though, tomorrow at St. Louis, I think give a slight lineup edge to the Cardinals. Manoah, definitely the pitching edge. Don't have to think too hard on that. Mikolas is a solid pitcher. Don't think he is quite Manoah's level. Nope. And they split 4 games last year, so not too much to go off of. Split 2 games in St. Louis. Lean to the Cardinals, just give them a little bit of an edge with that opening day, but don't want to go against that pitching edge. Scares me with Manoah. We're
going to look for bigger edges, especially early in the season. We'll only see that in a couple of games. So a lot of the games we say we lean or just you try to read into it. And again, if you're how to beat the bookie member, you'll know. But we're not going to be betting 7-8 games tomorrow, right? Fresh off. Just a couple of games that we really feel strong about.
We then have the Rockies going on to San Diego. San Diego whipped out the checkbook in the offseason. They get Bogarts, Carpenter, Nelson Cruz, weird addition. I mean, they kind of took a little bit of everything. Some of these older guys, some of these vets, they paid the big contract. Going to be interesting how this team looks. They do lose Drury, Josh Bell, a couple of guys they picked up last year. Tatis, they get back. They've obviously with Soto, Machado. I mean, this team, deep lineup, maybe the best lineup in baseball. This is the worst the Dodgers have looked last couple of years. A lot of hopes for them. Cannot bet them tomorrow, though. Slight lean to the Rockies for me. Marquez was decent last year. He was decent against the Padres. Actually won a game at San Diego. Snell was cracked by the Rockies. Struggles. Rockies hit lefties well. So slight edge there, but Rockies on the road. And John, I know you might want to go a deeper dive on that as far as your ratings as well. Rockies just on the road, different teams. So tough for me to do that opening day.
Just check my ratings. I mean, nobody's even close to how bad the Rockies are on the road. They're just that bad on the road, and they're decent enough at home. We'll be betting the Rockies. I'm sure plenty of games at home with overlays. Just don't want to go out and chase this thing. Look, best batting average against left-handers. Get all of that with the Rockies. They just, bottom line is, don't win on the road. San Diego's loaded, and when Tatis comes back, if he comes back to where he should be, I'm going to say they are the best hitting team in baseball. Even without him, they're right there. You got Soto, Machado, and Bogarts in the same lineup. That's deadly. I mean, like, I'll throw Tatis in there. That you get some real hitting there. But game one, do I want to get on the Rockies on the road against one of the teams that's predicted to win the National League? They're gonna fight with the Dodgers right there, and don't write off the Dodgers just yet. We talked about it just like I said the other day. Dodgers won 111 games last year. That's ridiculous. So a 15-game fall off is still 96 wins. 96 wins, that's just going to put them right there, maybe a game or two ahead of Padres, depending on when Tatis comes back, how he comes back, the health, obviously. Mm-hmm. So it's San Diego and the Dodgers all over again, just like it was last year. But so don't write the Dodgers off just yet. They're still going to get in the high 90s for a win total, and they'll be fighting Padres. The one thing San Diego did get over the hump, as I said earlier, was they know now they can beat the Dodgers. Dodgers had their number. They had their number until the playoffs last year. Now the Padres, they've eliminated that. This will be great going down into September, watching these two teams go at it. But yeah, the numbers say, hey, Colorado might be worth the chance. Team with the worst road record in baseball against a good San Diego team, even though the matchup pitching says Snell's had problems with Colorado before. Colorado doesn't hit on the road the way they do at home. I'll just stay off this one. Look, unless this number balloons up higher, right now the take back on this one is 180. If all of a sudden we're taking back 200 yesterday, might have to invest a couple of dollars just to torture myself.
Yeah, Padres in that division, plus 120 to win it, Dodgers minus 110. So it is, going to be a tight race like you're suggesting. Slight pitching edge I'd give to the Dodgers, not quite as drastic as in years past, but lineup edge to the Padres, like you said, probably the best lineup in baseball. So we'll see how much of that comes to fruition. We'll see how some of those new ads fit in, everything else. Excited to see that Padres team. White Sox at Houston, John, reigning World Series champs. They got a few changes going on as well, as does Chicago. So some interesting lineup changes there. Maybe the second best pitching matchup on the card, Cease versus Valdez. A couple more consistent pitchers. Valdez led the MLB with 29 quality starts last year. Cease was second in ERA. Let me hear your thoughts on this White Sox-Astros matchup.
Yeah, interesting game right out of the box here. Cease, who pitched like a monster all year last year. Another interesting thing here, Houston actually gets Abreu from the White Sox, basically their best hitter. So he's in that lineup now. Also, another loss due to the World Championship series there is Altuve. Astros will be without him. So they'll miss him in that game. Cease pitched really good. Little roughed up, though, his last few starts against Houston. Valdez, we called him Mr. Consistency, Mr. Quality Start last year. Just turns in a quality start of seemingly every time out. But this number's getting high. This game opened $1.40, which I thought was the right price. This game right now is as high as minus 157. It's actually higher on DraftKings at minus 165, but DraftKings is using a 20-cent line. So while we've been telling you guys get a DraftKings account so you can kill NBA, a little different here with DraftKings if they're using a 20-cent line. So it's like in this game particular, you get minus 165. With Houston, only take back $1.40 with the White Sox. 25-cent gap. Just too much. It's just too much. So hopefully you guys have got other outs where you can actually bet into a dime line. But big number goes any higher, going to be forced to pull a trigger on the White Sox with Cease in this one? Because as I said, I thought 140 was the right number in this one.
Yes, lean to Chicago. Agree with you. Interested to see how the Benintendi experiment works. He was great last year. I mean, he's great at Boston. He was great at KC. Gets traded to the Yankees. Had the health issues. Wasn't quite as good offensively either prior to it. So see if he comes back to form a little bit back in the AL Central. Astros lineup. I mean, best lineup in the AL probably again. And we'll see obviously when Altuve gets healthy. Brantley expect to miss a few weeks, but deep lineup, great additions. Pitching takes a hit, losing Verlander, but still have 1, 2, 3 with McCullers, Valdez, able to get it done. So lean to the White Sox in this game tomorrow. Series read. I would love to see someone give the Astros a run for their money in the AL West. Just don't think it's logical. Betting man, I got to lean to the Astros winning that division, no problem.
Wow, just a note, you guys will already know this by tomorrow. Kawhi Leonard now out. He's going to sit out for the Clippers. So a big move. That game will be backing up the other way. All right, let's get back into baseball.
Yeah, back into baseball, John. A couple other AL West teams, the Angels, and the worst AL team last year, the Oakland A's, also the worst home team in the AL, just couldn't win on their home field. We'll see how things go there. Angels, Shohei Ohtani going to be on the bump coming off the World Baseball Classic MVP. 4 starts against the A's last year. He was dominant. As far as the A's, you have Blackburn, who's out. Moeller, he's going to be making his first Oakland start with pitching for Atlanta in spot situations last year. Had a few starts. Pitching edge might be the biggest pitching edge on the card tomorrow. Ohtani versus Moeller, it's just the biggest pitching edge. So you add in that with the A's and their lack of success at home. I'm not looking to go with the dog in this one. Not looking to lay this juice either, but hey, we'll see what we get out of the Angels. We'll see if the World Baseball Classic got rhythm there for Trout and Ohtani. Rendon was raking in the spring. I mean, he was hitting almost 500 in the spring. So if that carries over and he can't stay healthy, that's a good 1, 2, 3, obviously, with Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon. So we'll see what happens with them. They bring in Drury. I like the pickup. Lean to the Angels. A lot of juice here. Would only lay the run line. But one of the favorites, the pitching edge justifies it, I think, tomorrow.
Look, Angels always look imposing on paper before the season starts with Trout in there. And like you said, you throw in Rendon, who they picked up a couple of years ago when he came over with blockbuster numbers.
Yeah, MVP candidate.
So anyway, this game, look, we talk about letdowns in basketball. They were let down for Ohtani in this game. Coming off the World Baseball Classic, he shined, MVP. Some sharp guys think so. This opening number was 260. So this game right now down to anywhere from 210 to 220. So some Oakland money showing up in this one so far. I'm not one of them. I'm not taking the team with the worst record, worst home record in baseball against a lights out pitcher. But yeah, be careful for a little bit of a letdown. How could it be a letdown, John? Opening, look, World Baseball Classic, a different thing for the foreign ball players. They're putting a whole showcase on for the world. Ohtani, a monster. Again, just beware of it. No way in the world do I want the A's, but obviously we don't lay 220s here, even if we package them together with 3 other favorites and call it a play.
Yeah, I think it was in Japan during the World Baseball Classic during that championship game. 97% of the TVs in the country were watching the World Baseball Classic game. So, yeah, definitely meant something to Ohtani. Definitely going to be a drop off going from those intense, almost playoff-like atmospheres to now Oakland. But hey, we'll see what happens there.
1,000 fans in the stadium.
Yeah, they're still left out the cardboard cutouts from COVID to have some seats filled, but we'll see how they go opening day. Anything can happen. D-backs at Dodgers, John. Pitching edge slightly to Urias, it's just more consistent. But Gallen was great last year. Great. Definitely going to be looking at him maybe in this matchup later this season. But hopefully with them in Arizona. You touched on it at the start. Dodgers own this matchup. 21 of the last 24 meetings in LA. 2 of those end of last year, they were sitting bets, Turner, Freeman. So you cut those out, kind of almost 21 of the last 22 meetings in LA if you take those out. As far as the Dodgers lineup, obviously some losses with Justin Turner, Trey Turner, Bellinger, not the biggest loss. Bring in Martinez, bring in Peralta. This game tomorrow, got to lean Arizona with Gallen. He was terrific last year. He was terrific against the Dodgers. 1 run in 14 innings, 18 Ks, 2 walks. Elite numbers against the high-scoring offense in the league. Just the 21 of 22, we'll call it, makes it tough for me to buck.
Yeah, I can't. And Urias, I put him right up there with Alcantara's year. I mean, he was a monster for the Dodgers.
Absolutely.
Last year. No way do I want to buck that trend. We don't buck those trends, although we did have Arizona in one of those games when Dodgers sat everybody at the end of last year, if you guys remember. Dodgers, we just talked about it. Like I said, they're not going to win 111 games. I don't know if they're going to win 105 games, but they're going to win in that low 90s to the high 90s, maybe 100 games this year. You talk about Trey Turner. That's what they're really missing. I mean,
huge.
Turner for J.D. Martinez, I don't know. Is it big? Getting rid of Bellinger, is it anything big? I don't think so. Losing Trey Turner, that's going to hurt.
Huge.
The pitching, you're going to start the year without Gonsolin, without Buehler. That's going to hurt. But Turner's the big miss in the field every single day. That being said,
with the rules change as well, take out the shift, faster shortstop, the speed on the bases. I mean, Turner is that guy that helps with the rule changes.
Is he 15 games though, Ben? That's what I'm saying. I got it. He's a big. Is his 4-15? It's not. You know what I mean? So I still have Dodgers in that 95 to 100 win ballpark area. That's where my rating is for them. Now things, anything can happen. Just remember, you still got a couple of guys named Mookie Betts and Freeman. Pretty fucking good from what I. So look, Dodgers.
You know what I love about the Dodgers? They pick up Noah Syndergaard. I think if any organization can get him back to Cy Young form like that, it's the Dodgers. I don't know what they do with these pitchers. They flip them around like nothing. We talked about it earlier with Heaney.
Dodger Stadium. Look, Dodger Stadium is a pitcher's park. So when you're pitching half your games in a pitcher's park, that helps us. So just so you guys know, these are things that we look into continuously, and that's what home and away. It really can't be anything more bigger than baseball because every NFL field is exactly the same. Now, the stadium might be different and winds might blow different, but the field itself is the same. Every NBA court, the basket is the same height, the length, everything is. Baseball is different. Every baseball season, the fences are in, it's out. There's the Green Monster in Fenway. There's Wrigley. So it's every home ballpark, excuse me, we're getting a lot of information coming in right now. We're shooting this at 6:45 on a Wednesday night. Wrong time, Ben picked to shoot this because the NBA injuries are blowing up, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So like I said, no other sport is as big as Major League Baseball, home and away. And again, Dodgers known as the pitcher's ballpark, and that has a lot to do. Yeah, I'm not saying that their pitching staffs, pitching coaches have to do with it, but a lot has to do with the park that you play in. We'll see what Noah could do. He's been a disappointment, traded around with the Angels last year and then Phillies. Not to say, when I saw this kid come up in New York, he looked like he was going to be something special. But that's how it goes sometimes. You look like it, and then maybe not so much. Maybe he gets back on track, gets a second bite of the apple. We'll see. But Dodgers in San Diego, I don't think there's nothing to talk about. It'll be, I think it'll be a close one this year. I think they'll be fighting each other right down to the last couple of days of the season. Arizona, I think they've improved since last year. A couple of game improvement. And again, they won't have to fight losing battles against the Dodgers times a year. So 6 less games against them, 6 less games against the Padres. They'll get a couple extra games against teams like the Detroit Tigers, Kansas City, teams that they normally wouldn't face. So they'll pick up a couple of extra wins, a couple of good starting pitchers in Gallen and Kelly. They can beat most guys on a lot of night. We're going to take these we're going to be on these two pitchers and Arizona quite a bit. I can guarantee you that. I just don't want to start first night, but a tough trend in LA.
Yeah, Dodgers do what they do at home. Tied with the Yankees' best home record last year in the MLB. Tough to go against it with Urias, one of those most consistent guys. Last game on this opening day card, great matchup. Just as far as the teams in itself, Guardians at Mariners. Pitching matchup, great as well. Castillo comes over from the deadline, was terrific for them. Bieber, he was dominant last year as well. You had the Guardians last year who end up winning the Central. You had Seattle comes in from the wild card to give Mariners or the Houston a run for their money in the ALDS. And as far as this matchup tomorrow, Castillo, I give him a little bit of an edge over Bieber, nothing too drastic. Now, Bieber, one start against the Mariners last year was great, 2 runs, only 1 earned in 7 innings. Just give him a little bit more of that home edge as well. In the spring, he was great. His last start, 1 run, 6 2/3, 11 Ks, just like what Castillo looked like last year against that Guardians lineup. Guardians, a team all about contact. They did add a little power, bring in Josh Bell. But as far as this matchup tomorrow, John, Guardians, Mariners, what are your thoughts?
Just what you said, great pitching matchup. 2 playoff teams last year. Both teams play well on the road. So no big home field advantage. Real tough one. I'm right by the number. I've got Mariners a small favorite with Castillo on the mound. Cleveland, I expect to win the Central. I just think they're better than the Twins and the White Sox. Seattle, they just keep getting closer, but Houston is just too good. They're good. So they're the second place team, unless somehow the Angels really put it all together. But the Angels, like I said, almost kind of like the Mets, just do what the Angels do. At some point, Trout mixes a bunch of games. We'll see what happens there. But, yeah, I would expect Cleveland to finish as the American League Central Division winners. I expect Seattle to once again make the playoffs, but they're going to have to do it as a wild card. Houston just too strong. They're not better than Houston.
I don't think it's too crazy to say Seattle, with the loss of Verlander in Houston, Seattle might have the best rotation in that division now. I mean, obviously, the lineup's not up there with Houston, but we'll see what we get out of Castillo. I mean, if Robbie Ray can get back to form, obviously the road home splits were crazy for him last year. Gilbert, another nice piece. So even the back end with Gonzalez and Kirby, some pretty good back end guys. So maybe the deepest rotation.
Yeah, no question about it. But again, when even right now, Houston's got a better lineup. You add Altuve when he gets back, and it's not really close. Love Rodriguez for Seattle. Seattle's got some sticks there.
Yeah.
You're not stacking up with Houston over the long haul. They'll fall short. But again, I've got them as one of the playoff teams in the American League. I just don't, like I said, the Angels don't think they've got it. Ohtani, great. On both sides. Now, look, let's talk a little bit about Ohtani. I mean, what this guy's doing as a pitcher and a hitter. I mean,
ridiculous.
I know isn't what you kids do, creating your own player in these.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like creating a player, going into the lab, and that's what you come up with. This monster that hits shots over 400 feet, blows guys away with 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Look. I don't think there's a debate. I don't know how you cannot call him the best player, being a pitcher and a hitter. To me, he's the best player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the MVP race is his to lose. I mean, it took a literally historic season from Judge, and even then, it was still competition, which is ridiculous for the MVP last year. Hell of a talent.
I've still got to give it to Ohtani. Again, old dude. I wasn't alive when Babe Ruth was doing this for the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher. No, you don't do this as a pitcher and a hitter. It's unheard of. So, yeah, as great as Judge had a season last year, and it was great, not downplaying it at all. But what Ohtani does as a pitcher and as a hitter is unmatched.
Yeah, it's definitely unmatched in all sports. Really, there's not really I don't know.
It'd be like a football. Being a two-way player in this day and age. You know, in the 40s, you played 2 ways. It doesn't happen now. And like I said, the guy isn't. He's in the top top tier of all time in both categories. So it's, I can't say that anybody's a better all-around ball player than him. I'd like to see if Judge can strike anybody out. Then you can tell me he's in the conversation.
Yeah, this is the Dodgers save for Ohtani here. I'm pretty sure they're going to be writing a blank check for him this upcoming fall. And I think it's a big part of the reason that, they didn't lock down Turner, they didn't go after Verlander, some of these big name guys that they usually would have gone for in the offseason. They lose out on Turner, they would have landed Dansby Swanson, cut it a little safe, and they're saving for Ohtani. So we'll see if they land him.
Look, the Dodgers, they've had the best team pretty much for 5 years. One championship out of that.
Yeah.
Got to do better than that. I mean, every year they come in as the front runner, and just to only make one happen. So who knows? Maybe this year, not coming in all the accolades. Like I says, if teams are underestimating the Dodgers, there's going to be a fall off from 111. They're still going to be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that. So John, that's the 15 games there. Wanted to kind of wrap up this baseball edition. And so you guys know, future episodes, we will be talking about baseball and NBA as the NBA closes out. But just this baseball-focused episode, we talk about it all the time. Baseball is all about pitching. Wanted to talk about best rotations in the MLB. Let's go maybe a top 5 list, top 10 list. The best rotations, who you have. Obviously, some of those NL East teams going to be cutting it pretty close there. But interested in who you have there, maybe in that top 5 list.
You know what? I don't go into it because you take one guy out. Let's just say Scherzer throws that first pitch tomorrow, and he pulls the arm, or DeGrom does that. You're one pitch away, especially when you're talking like the Mets. You got a 40-year-old and a 38-year-old heading your staff. Yeah, I'd like to put the Mets up there, but as I said earlier, I expect them to be real good in the beginning of the year. How good, or will they even be around July, August, or will Scherzer again be on the injured list like he was last year? So to get into that, I'm a day-to-day better as far as a pitcher. How good is the pitcher that I've got on the mound that day? Pitching staffs come into play for I'm going to try to explain this right. How good your pitching staff comes into play that day, because as good as the pitching staff is, usually means that it's less taxing on your bullpen. So if you guys like Verlander and Scherzer back-to-back, and they're into the 7th inning, so you're saving that bullpen, that's where they're helping out that pitcher for the next day. As far as other than that, that's where it ends. Whoever you have on the mound that day, is he pitching great that time? Is he up against a team that he just can't get them out? This is what we look for on a day-to-day basis. So to the projections, staff, how they'll be down the road, again, very tough. Too many variables. Age, I guess, is being one of them. Health, obviously, another one. DeGrom. Look, Texas shored up a pitching staff. But we can only even talk about them if DeGrom is healthy. That's a nice 1-2 punch. DeGrom, Perez, then they added some other pieces. Evaldi, Haney. How good will they be? How long will they be around? But if DeGrom's not DeGrom, there's nothing to even talk about anymore. So I kind of like to leave it for one game at a time. But if you want to talk about your pitching staff,
I'll give a quick list of who I would put as my top 5 pitching staffs. I will give a healthy Mets team the nod, just as far as if you're talking post, obviously pitching stats, we're talking all 5, but postseason time, you need 3 guys to go. And I don't know if you can have a better 3 to go. I'm going to put the Blue Jays with Bassett up there as well. I think they're in my top 5 now. I like the addition of Bassett. And if Berrios can get to how he looks in 2021, that's 4 guys who could be on ace on any given team. So we'll see what Berrios looks like. Like you said, a lot of variables there as well. A lot of variables with Bassett coming over. Dodgers staff, I mean, it's still as good as ever. Urias, Kershaw. What are we going to get out of Syndergaard? What are we going to get out of Wheeler when he comes back? So a lot of questions there. And then as far as the Braves, I would put them rounding up that 5. I mean, Fried, Strider, right? I know he's going to be out for a bit. I think that, and Morton as well. That's a deep 4 as well. So Braves and Mets come postseason time. Scariest 1, 2, 3s in my opinion.
Again, health being the key. If what will they be in July and August? We'll see. What will they be? But look, Verlander got it done. But in the playoffs, I kind of remember him getting raped by Seattle. So what you could be great in April and May. You get paid the big bucks winning in October.
Absolutely do. John, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add as we wrap up this MLB edition.
I do. Long season. If you remember, don't break my balls day one all the way down. Both dogs lost. Like one more time. We will not win 50% of our baseball bets. Why? Because we're going to bet 85 to 90% dogs. We're going to bet with value. It's a long season. The end of the season, you'll see a profit. Guys, look, it happens every year. We're going to have some bad runs in there. Betting the dogs is going to happen. Last year, the dogs got off to the worst start on record. Okay, on record. Literally, worst start since we've been keeping records. We still found a way by the end of the year to show a profit. And hoping that doesn't happen again. I'd like to get out to a nice jumbo lead, but this is what baseball is. That's why we say 3 and 5% of your bankroll. There's not as many love bets in baseball as there are in NBA. We're going to say I think the Yankees are going to win 60% of the games that they would play that day. So tomorrow, Webb at Cole, Yankees are going to win 60% of those games. So 60% comes out to $1.50. Okay. If I can take 170, that's 20 cents better. That's where the value is. Because I believe the line should only be 150. And I don't mean 150, take back 140. I mean the median value. If they're going to win 60% of the games, that's $1.50. Okay. So if I feel I'm taking 20 cents better than number, I'm going to go with the dog in that situation. So just a ballpark for you guys to have an idea of what we're talking about betting with value. Anything you want to add to that, Ben?
It's just a long season, guys. I know you touched on it before. There's going to be some cold stretches. Last year was plus 4 units. Trust John's system, trust John's ratings. Gonna be a long season. Buckle in. Hopefully it starts off hot. Going to be a lot of new changes, a lot of things going on. There is not a sport with as many variables as baseball. So adding in more changes to the sport with the most variables already makes it interesting. You have new pitchers every single matchup, ballparks like John mentioned earlier. Just a lot of things going into look-in. And for that alone is worth the How to Beat the Bookie membership. You will get breakdowns written for each pitching on the matchup. You'll get the team history, everything else. You'll get trends, all the stats, all the insights, looking into those different variables, what might affect the line that day. And like John said, it's all about based on what his line is compared to what the Vegas line is. Long season, a lot of betting value. It's going to pay out at the end, and hopefully you guys become a part of it. For the information alone, we're signing up, but it is a profitable system as well.
Big, long season. Like I said, guys, trust it. There's going to be streaks, and there's also going to be hot streaks. Same thing in NBA. Don't don't double up when you're losing. Don't be like, I know John's good, we're going to double up to that. That's not the way to do it. We'll say it one more time. You're on a dice table. You keep making points. That's when you press. Okay. Table's ice cold. You don't want to bet it to an ice cold table. We're going to have the same type of runs, just as we did in NBA. We're hot. We run a little cold. We come back and we bounce back even hotter. Told you guys before we went into the All-Star break. Once we come out of the All-Star break, we're going to crush them. I told you that last year. We did it again. We're going to win our share of games. Stay there. Be there for the wedding. Don't leave after the funeral. If you have a losing week, stick with us. We're going to get you your money back. We're going to get you on the right side of the games. In NBA, nobody beats the number. If you're a follower, you know that. There's nobody can compare to me. we're literally what we've done to DraftKings over this last part of the NBA season is they should be taking me away in handcuffs, or have to bet them, or paying me to make the line for them. We'll finish up the NBA season. You got baseball starts tomorrow or today, if you guys are seeing it today, and you get both sports for the same price. Guys, I charge $39. My cheapest package is $39. You just get a preview on every game, get my exclusive home and away ratings, and obviously my picks. There are guys that you can't buy one game for $39, and they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. So choice is yours. Give us a look. Give us a week, and I'm sure you'll be back.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check it out. Go to the website, howtobeatthebookie.com, or download the app, How to Beat the Bookie. Follow all the socials. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, commenting on these videos. Help get this podcast bigger. John, anything else?
I got to go back to work. We got a lot of basketball to do right now. Get ready for Major League Baseball tomorrow. Guys, stick with us. Let's make some money.
Make some money.